Does it bother you that Krusty uses mad cow beef to save money?
Whether it be the moon landing or Area 51, there are some absurd, sometimes nutty theories, which sometimes blend in with reality. So on that note, here are the top 10 craziest food conspiracy theories.
Dwight, not everything is conspiracy theory.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Chickens. Ever since fast food restaurants have been around, there's been a theory going around that they don't use actual chicken when preparing the food. Instead, they use fake chickens, which are bred in labs to keep up with the high demand. Yes, fake mutant chicken with extra limbs or missing heads or feathers. It might sound like something right out of a bad horror movie, and yet this theory is not totally out of the realm of possibilities.
It's really impossible to turn a profit if you serve real chicken.
In this economy, factory farming and genetic engineering could very well pave the way to some disturbing poultry production. Over the years, a lot of fast food chains have been under fire and accused of using the mutant chicken practice as a mass production tool. KFC in particular has been really sensitive to those rumors and has gone out of its way to prove they only use real chickens for its fried chicken. Even though the FDA would have caught on by now if mutant chickens were a thing and there hasn't been any pushback from animal rights activists, many people are still convinced that headless mutant chickens are living in factories somewhere out there.
Give me a chicken. Give me a chicken. I want a chicken. Chicken. Give me a chicken.
The Starbucks mystery.
Well, better make it quick, kiddo. In 5 minutes, this place is becoming a Starbucks.
Ugh, that dreadful moment when you go to Starbucks with an uncommon name. Even if you have the most common name, Starbucks always seems to find a way to butcher it in some way. Stephanie goes in for a grande vanilla frappuccino and she'll be handed a cup that says Stephanie. Seriously, the list of ridiculous name spelling goes on, and it makes one wonder why most Starbucks employees all seem to be bad with names. As it turns out, it might not be all by accident.
You can't just sit here all night and only order coffee. This is not a Starbucks.
Supposedly, they're doing it on purpose to get publicity on social media. When you think about it, it kind of makes sense. When you receive your hilariously misspelled cup, what's the first thing you do? Yep, probably post it on social media. Whether this is a pure conspiracy theory or a master plan designed by the coffee giant, you can't deny that it's actually a little genius. Let's be honest, have you ever seen a regular name like Mark get so epically misspelled you just wanted to head over there yourself just to see how they mess up your name? When you look at it like that, the conspiracy doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore.
Okay, I heard Starbucks.
No, you didn't. Nobody said Starbucks.
A nice glass of water fluoridation.
What if I told you that this water has fluoride in it?
Another conspiracy theory that's been around for what feels like forever is the classic. The government is putting something in our water to control us. This particular theory concerns the U.S. water supply and fluoride used to improve teeth health. Back in the early 1940s, the U.S. government introduced fluoride to a portion of America's public water supplies. The speculation began soon after, with each claim sounding more insane than the last. But the most notorious one would have skeptics claiming fluoridation was a communist plot to infiltrate our bodies and control our minds.
Fluoride is used by the communists to control our minds.
No, it's not.
This spread like wildfire as people claimed that fluoride was introduced to purposely damage parts of our brains and make us less intelligent and more docile. As the years passed, the fluoride stories evolved to the point where it became a poisonous substance that was believed to lower a person's IQ, contribute to infertility, cause the early onset of puberty, and it calcified your organs. The whole laundry list. Fluoride was originally added to reduce tooth decay by up to 40%. But obviously, since the average American has always been suspicious by nature, doubt set in right from the beginning. And once terms like bad science and powerful politics started going around, there was no stopping the momentum. Today, there are still people who firmly believe the government is trying to control our brains with fluoride.
Controlling our minds with fluoride in the water?
Anybody ever say you're a bit of a conspiracy theorist?
Chipotle and Self-Sabotage.
If you're like other Americans, you love to eat Chipotle.
You're probably already familiar with the rash of food poisoning cases that stained Chipotle back in 2015. A parade of norovirus, salmonella, and E. coli all happened within a few months, and then the same thing again only 2 years later. You would think that after the first time, Chipotle would have gotten the memo, but apparently it didn't, and it made people a little suspicious. Rumors started going around saying Chipotle had orchestrated these outbreaks on purpose to sabotage themselves. The real question, however, is why would a successful company lace its own meat with bacteria?
Between good and garbage, it's Chipotle.
Restaurant consultants Aaron Allen and Associates noticed a very interesting pattern, not only in the food poisoning cases, but also in the company's stock activity afterward. Whenever there was an outbreak, Chipotle stock dropped. This is what led them to believe Chipotle was sabotaging itself to make its stock drop and benefit the short sellers. Short sellers basically only act when they know a stock is dropping in price. This can be a very lucrative gamble. How lucrative exactly? Allen and Associates said that between 2015 to 2017, there was about $459 million to be made that way via Chipotle stock. So while the chances that Chipotle tampered with its own meat to purposely get its customers sick are slim, it's not totally unbelievable either. Let's just hope this becomes a future urban legend rather than a long-lasting scandal.
Just some Chipotle, but that stuff, runs through you.
Warren Buffett's diet.
I went on the Subway diet.
Given the opportunity, most people would choose to eat fast food and junk food as much as possible. To be able to indulge without any limit? Well, that's the dream, and one that Warren Buffett is supposedly living every day. For those who don't know the name, Warren Buffett is the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway and one of the world's richest people with a net worth of over $100 billion. In other words, many people want to be like him, but not just because of the money, but because of his supposed daily diet that makes everyone jealous. He basically eats like a 5-year-old. No vegetables, no alcohol, mostly junk food. McDonald's at least 3 times a week, 5 cans of Coca-Cola per day, Dairy Queen ice cream, and endless salt and candy. Despite all that junk, Buffett is now over 90 years old and still making multi-million-dollar decisions. Might this be the recipe to a long life? Well, one man tried to follow the Buffett diet just to see, and let's just say he didn't share the same feeling.
I'm never gonna eat or do anything ever again.
He said he felt like he was going to die after only a week in, which brought up a lot of questions as to how Buffett was thriving on this particular diet. The conspiracy goes that Warren Buffett only promotes this scandalous diet because it is conveniently filled with products he has a stake in to get more people to buy them. Does he really eat all of this fast food all the time, or is he just saying it for show? Just something to think about.
Coincidence? I think not!
McDonald's broken machines.
The ice cream machine.
We've all been there. The dreaded moment when you pull up to a McDonald's drive-thru window and all you want is a McFlurry, but alas, they tell you what no one wants to hear. The ice cream machine is broken. The broken machines have now become the #1 complaint for McDonald's customers. You can blame faulty equipment or bad maintenance people, but ultimately you're always left ice creamless, and it sucks. Obviously, this common occurrence, which happens all over the world, has sparked some questions and a conspiracy theory to go along with it. Some people strongly believe that the machines are, in fact, never broken, and the employee taking your order simply doesn't want to bother cleaning it afterward.
The machine's busted, princess.
Since ice cream machines are pretty hard to maintain and clean, workers would want to avoid the hassle, especially around closing time. If this theory is true, not only would it be a really easy fix, but it also means that the company has lost a lot of business due to this. Back in 2015, McDonald's annual revenue in the U.S. was estimated to be over $8.5 billion. If the ice cream products were responsible for 3% of that, then that would mean over $255 million melted down the drain. Hopefully, this is simply another theory and not a universal understanding for every McD's worker.
You told me it was an unstoppable ice cream machine.
Outback Steakhouse, Pentagram.
Go to Outback Steakhouse. grown very fond of that place.
Okay, there are a lot of theories out there related to the Illuminati. You know, the secret society founded in 1776 in Bavaria? Well, it turns out that Outback Steakhouse hasn't been able to escape the inevitable, and some people now believe the restaurant is part of this evil madness. The theory goes that whenever you map out the Outback Steakhouse in any city, you will find at least 5. So far, nothing too weird, but if you connect them, you will get a star shape, also known as a pentagram. Apparently, this could mean that the Australian-ish steakhouse chain is part of a grand conspiracy to control the world.
She's like, you decide. Uh-oh. I'm like, all right, Outback Steakhouse. She's like, nah.
This whole idea began circulating on Twitter in 2017 when a user connected the locations of Outback Steakhouses in Arizona, Georgia, and Illinois before other states started doing the same, linking the restaurant to the devil, witchcraft, and the Illuminati. Some even claimed that your steak was probably part of a ritual sacrifice. A bit far-fetched, sure, but still something you know deep down isn't true.
Now there's the Outback Steakhouse Extreme.
The real danger of sugars.
Give me sugar.
Everybody knows that sugar, at least the processed kind, isn't exactly good for you. That's no secret nor a conspiracy, it's just a fact. However, what is a conspiracy is just how bad it actually is for our bodies. Known as the sugar conspiracy, the theory goes that the government is hiding the real dangers of sugar from us, and these claims can be traced back to the 1970s. John Yudkin, a British nutritional professor, wrote the book Pure, White, and Deadly, in which he explained how sugar is a dangerous substance. He said that it's so bad for us that if its effects were seen in any other additive, it would be banned.
You like sugar, huh?
Is there sugar in syrup?
Yes.
Then yes.
He also claimed that fat is not responsible for obesity or other weight-related problems, it's sugar. Yudkin's career and reputation were destroyed after he published his book, especially after other nutritionists partnered up with the food industry to discredit his work. But why would the government lie about sugar? According to the conspiracy, it's working with the sugar industry and Big Pharma to ensure sugar remains popular enough to get the population more and more unhealthy. Sugar companies then sell more, and Big Pharma then reaps the profits of a medicated population. This is probably one of the most believable and twisted conspiracies so far, and one we particularly wish isn't true.
I suppose asking to borrow a cup of sugar is a step too far.
Fondu craze is a scam.
I love fondue.
Really?
I never joke about hot cheese, Susan.
Me neither.
Fondue is one of life's best guilty pleasures. Dipping stuff in hot cheese? What's not to love, right? But as delicious as it might be, some people didn't believe that its raging popularity was coincidental and that it was all part of a bigger scheme. Instead of a food trend, it was actually engineered by a kind of Swiss cheese mafia. It turns out that it's kinda true. It's about time conspiracy theorists get something right.
Fondue?
Fondue was not only a convenient way to celebrate a multinational heritage, but also a way to highly promote cheese and shove it down everybody's throat to boost profits. Back in the day in Switzerland, right after World War I, there were around 1,000 types of cheese being made, at a time when cheese consumption was at an all-time low. The Swiss Cheese Union was formed to control and limit the types of cheeses that could be made. It whittled the list down to 3: Emmental, Spreeans, and Gruyere. A couple of years later, in the 1930s, cheese fondue was invented just in time for the union to promote their cheeses. The perfect orchestrated marketing push. As fondue grew in popularity in the 1970s, some people were having a hard time figuring out why it became such a big deal. Well, now you know why fondue parties were so hip back then and still are today.
Oh, screw that then. I don't want a fondue fountain if P. Diddy had one.
New Coke for new life.
How do you even drink that? Because it's delicious.
For those who were around in 1985, you know just how much of a fiasco New Coke was. According to customers, it tasted like a sweeter, diluted version of Coke, and it was just an overall huge failure. Why did Coca-Cola even bother to come up with a new and improved version when they already had the winning ticket? Well, many people believed that New Coke was actually a marketing strategy in order to garner attention and build hype around the company again. When Coca-Cola switched back to the old formula as if nothing happened, some speculation began going around, claiming the company's plan all along was to produce a disgusting product only to get people interested in the old original cola again.
What about New Coke? Hey, I invented that.
While developing, manufacturing, and promoting a bad product just for a marketing stunt might seem like a bit of a stretch and one heck of a risk, the possibility can't be fully dismissed. After all, in the 1980s, Coca-Cola was on the verge of losing ground to Pepsi in the Cola War, so a little nudge in the right direction couldn't have hurt.
Did a bit of rebrand in the 80s. Same people who did New Coke.
Bite into more great videos. Just tap or click. First time here? Then leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell.